I think that Senia will discuss with me some problems that she finds in her space. And as she goes, she will show us the spaces, right? So
Exactly.
I'll be commenting on solutions I propose for her. And that way you can feel what this is about. And if you have similar problems, you might get some information. Tell me, what are your challenging areas or your roadblocks?
So my main areas of concern is I do feel there's a lot of clutter in the counter space. We moved into this house. This house was built in the 80s. And so the kitchen is definitely an area of updating. I do feel like I have a lot of storage, but there's big spaces that are kind of feel loose, you know? So lots of stuff gets there. The spaces are deep, and you'll see that in a minute in the pantry or in some of the cabinetry. So there's a lot of space, but then it's hard to see what I have behind. So this is particularly my area where I have a lot of problems. So right now the dishwasher is clean and there's stuff there. So then whatever's overflowed ends up here. Like if Ian, I have a 2-year-old. So if I'm washing stuff that, oh my God, I don't have time to upload, I end up with a lot of stuff. And then his things here. Right now we have so much food that I don't know where to put with this virus. And then there's my pantry space, and we're gonna show you pictures. So this is what I mean. Like, even though I know I have canned goods, it's deep, and right now it's empty because I've been cooking a lot. So there I have sugar. I know kind of have, okay, sweet stuff, cocos, but I need a lot of help with that. And then this is kind of the island. Right now I have so much overflow of food and stuff like that that it's hard for me to find space for.
A kitchen, it's very important to designate spaces that make the kitchen more functional to you and the way you live. For example, if you bake a lot, then it makes sense to make a space for baking supplies and elements, right? You and your husband are coffee drinkers. I'm asking because if you are tea or coffee drinkers, it makes sense to make a station.
Yeah.
The coffee station, then all these supplies that you have above the oven should come down to have in your counter space would be like the coffee maker, if it's a Keurig, for example. And then you would have the mugs in the cabinet above that area. And then in the drawer right there underneath would have your supplies for coffee and tea. And it's like a nice little place that you see it, and just by looking at it, it gives you pleasure. It's like, oh, my coffee or my tea. In terms of where you put your cups, your drinking glasses, let's say, that should be closer to the refrigerator. So if you have your cups on the bottom shelf of the cupboard, then you have your glasses on the next level. And then on the other level, the highest level, then you would have wine glasses, for example, that you don't use as frequently. But then the cabinet is all about drinking. It makes sense that it's also close to the dishwasher because you want the flexibility and the functionality of putting away things right after you take them off the dishwasher. So I would say then the next cupboard should be with the dishes that you use. And I think you have the dishes very close there to your dishwasher, so that would be good. But I remember I saw on the middle cupboard all the supplements and vitamins and all that. You can do that if you have the space. But I would still suggest that you go over everything and see what's expired, what's not. Keep it current, number one. And number two, put it in a bin so you can take out your bin and put it on the counter, and it's so much easier for you to work with it. Notice you have all your supplements in the kitchen, and I want to say that's the right thing to do because many people like to store these things in the bathroom. In the bathroom, what we need to have is what I call the medicinal, not medicine. Medicinal, as I view it, is what we apply to our body, nails, hair, teeth, that has therapeutic or medicinal properties, but it's something that goes on our bodies, not in our bodies. When we are talking about what we ingest, we always have to have it either with food or after food or before food. And also we need water or milk to have it. So there. So you mentioned you have clutter in your counters. We have sometimes those little appliances that we use. Well, I'm going to talk about the dishes and all that in a minute. But many times the clutter in the counter in the kitchen is tricky because the kitchen counters are just flat space. And we love to dump stuff on flat spaces. That's just a given. So we have to be very vigilant and understand counter space is functional space that we need. And when they are clear, everything looks good. And then we have the space for when we actually need it to work in the kitchen. So let's not be afraid of open, clear spaces because it has a purpose, and in the kitchen, it's a very important purpose. We need that there for when we are cooking and preparing food, then we do have the space. The second thing is we have to make sure that what we have in the kitchen belongs to the kitchen and only the kitchen, because papers don't belong in the kitchen unless you have a mommy desk, in which case that's a different story. But there's no reason to have a whole cabinet or drawer occupied by papers. So that's the other thing. The third thing is that you have to use the functionality and logic of how you live to put the things in a way that facilitates your cooking and food preparation. For example, the cooking tools should be next to the stove. The pans and pots should be in the lower cabinets. It's crucial that when you're doing your pantry, you take everything out. Everything needs to come out. Sorry, cannot save you from that. But then you will group like with like. Things that go with breakfast could be one classification. Cans could be a different classification. Or I don't know, however you want to do it. If you want to group everything to cook Italian meals together, then it's your classification, what makes sense to you. But if you group things like with like, and then also you need to remove anything expired, anything that you bought to just try it and decided the family won't eat it, anything that is forgotten needs to come out. Once you have your groups, then you assign those groups, put them back in your pantry in an organized way. For example, your snacks would be most accessible because it's what everybody reaches in for. Now, one thing that makes a huge difference in pantries is when you remove every packaging from the products, meaning, you know, granolas, nutritional bars, things like that come pre-packed, but they come in boxes. When you bring them home, if you remove the boxes and then put the items in baskets, whatever system you decide, but you use those, then they are right there. You reach in and you grab it, and you don't have half open boxes that don't stack well or any of that problem. What you want is a BPA free plastic. People like glass because plastic is associated with BPA, which causes cancer. But these in particular, the pop-up containers from XOXO, they are BPA free. So there are many ways to organize the products in the pantry. The important thing is if you want to just group your things and you don't want to use these and transfer your products, then at least group them by category and put them in a basket, and then label your baskets. And you can even label the shelves, because we all love those Pinterest pantries, don't we? But it doesn't happen in a couple of hours, and the process involves transferring all these crummy things and dry beans and grains and things like that to containers like that. And it's important to keep uniformity so it looks nice.